There's a lot of global speculation at the moment about how Israel will respond to the Iranian attacks set upon them. This was, of course, the first set of direct attacks by Iran. The two nations have been engaged in something of a shadow war for years, but as I say, the first set of direct attacks from Iran against Israel, where they fired up to 300 drones and ballistic missiles across the Middle East airspace aimed at Israel. This was in response, they say, to the Israeli attacks on their embassy in Damascus, Syria, but the Israelis say they have proof that this base was being used to fund, plan and organise terror activities by Iran through their proxies. The reaction by the West, largely led and directed by Joe Biden, has been that Israel should accept this victory whereby up to 99% of the drones and ballistic missiles were either intercepted or shot down by their Iron Dome with the help of Western allies. As I say, largely postulated by Joe Biden, but David Cameron and other Western allies have fallen in behind him. How this is a victory, I'm not quite sure, and this leads me on to my first question, which is what would the West do had this happened to them? Of course, this is an abhorrent attack against Israel and their people. The aim and objective of it, the Iranians, was to destroy and eliminate Israel and their civilians. So what would the West have done? I suspect there would have been a huge response by the West had this been postulated against one of them on their lands, in their back garden. And why is the West and why are we choosing now to appease Iran? Why aren't we choosing to stand by, unite and support the only democracy in the region in the Middle East, which is, of course, Israel? Why are we choosing to appease Iran, which is now kind of a global rogue, funding their proxy groups, Hamas, the Houthis, which are, of course, disrupting trade and shipping in the Red Sea, and, of course, Hezbollah too. Iran is funding all of these proxy groups to disrupt and destroy the global order. The only strong counter-argument which would suggest and support restrained Israeli response would be that to a large extent the Iranian attacks failed. As I say, up to 95% of the drones and ballistic missiles were intercepted, and there has been just one civilian casualty reported in the south of Israel. This has made Netanyahu much more popular and the West much more united at a time where Western support and domestic support for Netanyahu were both fading. But on the other hand, going back to the argument, which I believe is that our appeasement policy for Iran has now long not worked. How did we seemingly get it so wrong? Of course, we've been appeasing Israel largely thanks to Joe Biden and a soft conservative government at home. We have been appeasing Iran, freeing up much of their money in return for prisoner exchanges, etc. This money that we have helped to free up for Iran has been used to fund their proxy terror groups, Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis. Of course, a long-lasting peace requires the elimination of Hamas, and that starts with cracking down on Iran. I think the first thing we could do is, here in the UK, prescribe the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, a terror group. They, of course, have a base in London and have been operating and expanding their network from London. So I think the first thing we can do is crack down on them by prescribing them a terror group. And I think it's important here to look at the intentions of what it was that the Iranians did, not just at the result, because, of course, that is really what matters. And I would like to leave you with a question, which is what would happen the last time that Israel surrendered themselves and did not respond? Of course, it was the Holocaust.